All right, good morning. My name is Jack Harrison, and I hopefully will graduate New Canaan High School this upcoming Tuesday morning. It's a celebration that will represent 16 years of living in this great community and the lifetime of memories that has come with it. Like most other high schoolers in America, I was able to survive all of the pop quizzes, standardized tests, and subpar cafeteria food that high school has to offer. But that's not why I'm up here this morning. When Father Justin originally asked me to do this, I was stunned and a little bit overwhelmed. Obviously, I would love the chance to show how much St. Mark's means to me and has meant to me growing up, but I'm not sure that simply words will do it justice. So this is probably the world's first ever sermon that also features pictures. So I'll start with this picture for about the 8 of you in the room that can see it. This is me in a sleeping bag. This is a kid bundled up in a sleeping bag. This is me. I'm currently on my first mission trip with St. Mark's. We're in York, Pennsylvania, and I'm finally 13 years old. I'm finally old enough to be part of the service group that defines St. Mark's. It's on this trip that I found out what home feels like. I got to know a couple of my peers, such as Annika Holmberg and Ryan McClellan. I could look to friendly faces Max Holmberg, Alex Meinzer, Lila Dan, or the reliable Thorjean brothers for any guidance or help I needed. And I could do it all following the fearless John Kennedy, Syra Borsey, and of course, Amanda Sutton. This first trip got me hooked. Returning home, I raved to my parents over the time that I had and how I couldn't wait for the next summer. I kept in touch with the friends I had made in New York, and before I knew it, June rolled around again, and it was time to do it all over. That led to this photo being taken. And so this is me over here, looking like an absolute hooligan next to the group of people that I call friends. And this is in Rutland, Vermont, and this is another edition of the St. Mark's Mission Trip crew. Fun fact, I actually came home from this trip with ringworm. If anyone has any questions about ringworm, they can ask my mom. She's sitting over there. She'd be happy to answer. Anyways, when I look at these old photos, the first thing I notice are our facial expressions. Everybody obviously looks physically exhausted, but this was kind of to be expected after a long day of service. The thing that stands out to me is the satisfaction in everyone's eyes. If you ever met a teenage child, they tend to not be the most selfish individuals in the world. However, this group of people worked day in and day out for a community that was less fortunate than ours. We had every right to be tired and get home after a long day of literally trailblazing. In Rutland, we actually had to make a bike path for the citizens. So literally trailblazing, and we had every right to throw ourselves into sleeping bags and get ready to do it all again next day. But that's not really how this group operated. Our spare time was filled with card games, McDonald's cheeseburgers, as we continued to grow and develop as individuals. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that these mission trips didn't really just give me a good experience, they gave me hope for the world. And then the summer of 2019 rolled around and I was given a choice. A mission trip in the United States or a pilgrimage to Canterbury Cathedral in the UK. Though my love for the mission trips was very strong, this opportunity proved too much to pass up. And this picture is a bunch of sleep-deprived pilgrims standing outside the Tower of London. It's crazy, actually. We took the red-eye flight from Kennedy to London and still went sightseeing the next morning. So rule number 1 of St. Mark's trips, if you enjoy sleep, do not travel with Justin and Jewel. So this was the Canterbury pilgrimage, and it was the first and hopefully not the last time I got to travel internationally with St. Mark's. I wasn't totally sure what to expect going in, but I was met with a cultural experience that will stick with me for the rest of my life. First of all, British barbers are definitely different. This one did not go over very well with my mother. But more seriously, going to England opened my eyes to the historical significance of our religion. I learned about the international significance of the Episcopal Church and how our little New Canaan parish plays into the bigger picture. It was much easier to be able to experience the culture of England without spending the majority of my time painting a house. I was even given the opportunity to talk with Dean Robert Willis of Canterbury, as I had a couple questions about the interaction between humans and God. And there is the first time I said God in this rant that I'm going on. I'm 824 words into this sermon, and that's the first time I said God. So that's nice. My relationship with God has always been a little confusing, but that's what everyone says. Coming into my first mission trip, I was just a dumb kid, somebody who'd completed Sunday school under Justin's fantastic curriculum, but and acted a couple times as well, but not much else. And today you see the same dumb kid standing here in front of everyone. But I would be remiss if I ignored the growth in my relationship with God. I've learned that God is always around us, night or day, and I've learned that God acts as people, and you can see his actions every day. Most importantly, I've learned that God works in some really strange ways. During the pandemic, however, my relationship with God was somewhat strained. Our hockey season was cut short, my friends were legally not allowed to see each other, and my junior year of high school came to an abrupt halt. As a high school kid, 17 years old, my life basically fell apart. Instead of looking to God for guidance, I turned to other things to help deal with my losses. I couldn't understand why everything was happening, all the lives lost, jobs cut, and schools forced to close. It pained me to see the clergy hold the 10 a.m. service for a video camera, which is why it brings me such joy to see everyone sitting here today. Now, simply hearing the words vaccine or immunity can bring tears to people's eyes, and I think that's a good example of God working his miracles up there. From the gospel today, with what we can compare the kingdom of God, or what parable will we use for it? It is like a mustard seed, which, when sown upon the ground, is the smallest of all the seeds on earth, yet when it is sown, it grows up and becomes the greatest of all shrubs, and puts forth large branches, so that the birds of the air can make nests in its shade. That was part of today's gospel, and I think it's a perfect description of St. Mark's. All of the work that this parish does, everything for our New Canaan community might, at times, feel like a small act of kindness in a world filled with darkness. But this is how the kingdom of God grows. Like a mustard seed, these acts of kindness culminate and multiply, eventually sprouting into something magnificent. And that is us, as people. We are the St. Mark's community, we are the light when all is dark, and most importantly, we are not alone. For me, religion has always been about community, and it warms my heart to know that there are communities just like us all around the world. As I speak for my generation, when I think of all the things that will trouble us in the future, from global warming, human rights, or maybe even another pandemic, on behalf of all of those around my age, I can confidently say, we got this. Finally, I have one more photo to share with all of you today. This one is blank, left unmarked for all the photos still to come. One day, this piece of paper might hold the photo of my future wedding day here at St. Mark's, or the photo of my firstborn child being baptized by Father Peter 15 years from now. St. Mark's has flooded my childhood with memories that words cannot do justice, and I'm beyond excited to see what the future holds. Thank you.